Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another daily cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. Let's get right into the information today. One take and uncut. This is going to be a different type of video, literally just a Friday ramble. I'm going to go through some pieces of news, some pieces of information, and then honestly just kind of, spit my thoughts. And if, you guys get bored of that, that's fine. Click out. Leave the video. I'm going to be clearing my throat. I'm going to be drinking water during this because I wish you guys knew how weird it is when you're alone in a room just speaking into a microphone. So without further ado, today, January 17th, XRP Crypto Wolf just sharing this. So the U.S. Congress proposes a new crypto bill looking to exempt day-to-day cryptocurrency transactions from capital gains taxes. Now, when I first saw this, I was excited. But again, look below. The bill covers transactions after December 31st, 2019. It exempts transactions involving cryptocurrencies with calculated gains below $200. All right, that's not a big deal to me. Obviously, exempting some, taxes or, anything in between regarding capital gains is great. But who is trading cryptocurrency to make below $200? I am not. So we'll keep an eye on this, obviously. I mean, if you want to look, theblockcrypto.com and just kind of look more into this. Regulation is coming, but it is at a snail's pace. Sometimes I honestly think this is just a game. It's all just a show slowly getting rolled out. Part of me feels that, a lot of this has been, pre-planned, and I know that is kind of tinfoil hat, whether Bitcoin was created by the government or some type of, psyop or social experiment. It was widely successful, and it is leading us to, adopting DLT, even if it is not directly blockchain. Distributed ledger technology, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, has a future in the future of finance. As we can see with Davos coming next week, I'm very, very excited to hear all the discussions, with the World Economic Forum talking about going green, being, more efficient. I mean, even look at these advertisements, buying Bitcoin. I'm realizing what's happening in front of us. All the hints are right there, but you have to be able to see through all the noise and all the smoke and mirrors. Next, shared by Wrath of Conaman. So we have Eric Dadun here, and hopefully I'm pronouncing your last name, sir. But again, BRD Wallet is entering enterprise blockchain service with a block set for banks and financial institutions. Of course, Ripple Spring is an investor. SBI is an investor based out of Japan. And SBI actually pushed the idea of block set and is the first customer, says the VP of Marketing, Chen. So we can just take a peek here again. And I believe this is Eric Dadun right here, or Dadun. I really need to learn how to pronounce his last name. Always has great information. And right here, so crypto wallet provider BRD has ventured into the enterprise blockchain market. And again, the firm aims to serve the likes of JP Morgan. So they are a cryptocurrency wallet provider that is backed by Ripple and Japanese financial services giant SBI Holdings. So as we can come here, 10 of the top 15 companies that are hiring the most for blockchain projects are not crypto companies at all. They include companies such as Cisco, Verizon, JP Morgan, Chase. That's the segment Blockset wants to own. Interesting for sure. Now keep in mind, as I said, I believe in a video yesterday at some point, there's so much going on. These companies, these, fintechs, these governments are so busy and preoccupied with their own, managing everything. In essence, they want to buy out these smaller guys so that they can, let the infrastructure get built up. That's why there's so much talk about Coinbase, getting everything set, regulations, building that foundation. And then this is just, this is possible. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. What if Fidelity or some huge, custody with trillions of assets under management were to purchase Coinbase, but let them, get through all the tough stuff originally? Interesting for sure. So again, massive, funding behind these projects. Right here, over 20 financial titans are already evaluating Blockset. And then BRD claims to serve over 3 million users for its wallet business with over $6 billion worth of crypto assets under its protection. I'd expect this number to grow substantially, provided, they keep at this pace. So we're expanding to help large enterprises to build more usability into crypto apps so that we can reach the next 30 or 300 million customers. And that is a quote from Chen. Interesting. All right, next. So I wanted to go over this. This caught my eye the other day. This is King Solomon, and Cryptopolis discussing with Matt here. And this is a cool little string. And I don't know if anybody saw Breadkime's stream this morning with Cryptopolis. Anytime Cryptopolis speaks, I listen. With 40 plus years of experience in these financial markets, I always learn something from him. So as I always say, this is nothing new here, but again, we're just talking about instant payments and instant settlements. Why is XRP useful? Why would it potentially make a difference to replace these pre-funded accounts? So as he says, and I couldn't say it better, well, instant payments and instant settlements are two very different things. Instant payment, which does not solve the problem at hand, which is, occurring today, means they need bank accounts and then settle later after the transactions. So they're settling later on the core ledgers of these central banks. So you still need pre-funded Nostro Vostro accounts around the globe. Right? Now, instant settlement, which is what XRP will solve, means that they are using digital assets to settle that payment with finality instantaneously, and there's no other back-end work needed. So I really like that. And again, talking about Swift GPI, this is instant payment. So there's, bidirectional messaging. You have some transparency. You can, have a little more transparency into the payment and where it's going each step of the way in this already clunky, architecture that exists today on this legacy system that we're using that was built pre-internet, pre-digital era 40 years ago. That is ridiculous, and I say this every single video. But again, King Solomon, Swift GPI has instant settlement, but it's facilitated through promissory agreements, through partnered, and keep in mind, he says instant settlement in quotes, through promissory, I can't even say the word, agreements through partnered institutions still using pre-funding. There are tons of instant payment schemes currently in operation that have nothing to do with XRP. Notice, tons and tons of instant payment schemes. I mean, you see RTP, real-time payment initiatives, being built around the globe. But the key word that you have to really read through and read between the lines is settlement. Is it actually settlement, or is it just better visibility? And is it still taking the same amount of time? Because obviously on the front-end applications for the users, that's awesome. But keep in mind, the multi-trillion-dollar problem that XRP is aiming to solve, that Ripple, the company, actually wants to solve, is reducing the amount of pre-funded accounts and that dormant capital that is tied up doing nothing, whereas we can actually put that into use and try to improve the world and get one step closer to globalization. All right. Next, this is XNEO. So XRP_Anderson, a must follow. This is a huge thread. If you guys get annoyed that I'm reading tweets, I try to, give you my 2 cents and I'll kind of rant at the end of this video. Fast forward or just grow up. I don't want, viewers that criticize me. So right here. This is my Ripple conspiracy theory and their big connections with central banks in the IMF, International Monetary Fund. I'm just going to be blunt. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe the largest banks like Citi really like Ripple that much, along with XRP. Now remember, if you've seen the video I put up yesterday regarding Citibank being, one of those global banks that makes $8 billion of profit per year, thanks to, basically the friction within payments, with cross-border, with all of the payments that exist today. That is insane. If that is a must-see video, go check it out. It's Brad Garlinghouse discussing with another gentleman on stage and being one of the number one, biggest banking, global liquidity managers of these assets. And they're, making tons of money off this. So some of these big banks might not want Ripple to be that successful. These tier 1 banks are, profiting from this clunky architecture. They're charging, in a way, the tier 2, tier 3, the lower banks, and those guys kind of have those fees as well. All right, so right here, reason I'm saying this is firstly because Ashish Birla, and again of Ripple, has said Citi told them that they are their enemy in a meeting. Why I think this is so. Ripple, along with XRP, brings disruption. The flow of funds won't be controlled by the largest banks with RippleNet and settlements through XRP. These giant banks take out large fees for smaller banks to hold Nostro for them. A bank like Citi can then control the flow of funds and make money doing so. Control as well as fees. Very high barriers of entry for these Nostro holdings. Or holding banks. Through ODL, on-demand liquidity, which uses XRP, and I'm repeating myself for any newcomers, you would massively lower the barriers of entry for new money transfer firms to enter the market. It will be much easier to open up in new markets, and again, easy rollout, that is the key, new markets. We want those markets first that have the most friction. That is what we're targeting. After liquidity develops, those cost savings improve and improve and improve, we can then begin to take over the bigger ones that don't really suffer from as much slippage, but that is still the goal. The end game is, global adoption. So right now, it's not like we're tackling, an easy to reach corridor like USD, JPY, USD, Euro. That would make sense. The cost savings are not there yet, but with, Southeastern Asia, with the APAC region, with the Middle East, with, Mexico and Latin America, there's huge demand for this. But again, we're still looking for regulations. We're waiting to develop liquidity. All right. Since you don't need the same bilateral relationships as today through RippleNet. More companies mean higher competition, which benefits the customer through the lower prices and better service. But it also means a loss of control from the banks like Citi. And obviously banks want control. That's my belief, why we are migrating towards, digital currencies, central bank digital currencies. Of course, there's, more efficiency behind it. Don't be fooled. They want more control. Take. So they would thus likely would not want this to happen. I'm sure they don't really care about remittance, which is, one thing that Ripple's tackling, since the sums are tiny in comparison to what the banks send. But what happens when small and medium-sized banks, and even, SMEs, small, medium enterprises, start settling in XRP? Who will they extract fees from in Nostro? Also, sure, there would be cost savings associated with selling, with on-demand liquidity, the mega banks as well, but two factors that I don't know. How much are the Nostro fees they charge? And how much will the profit margins get squeezed from the new entrants into the market? Higher competition from much lower barriers of entry will lead to profit margins getting lower and sending money. Also, the large-scale disruption is likely something they see as a threat. And keep in mind, there's going to be disruption, but they want it to be very smooth. I know Christine Lagarde is talking about this on a daily basis, so something to keep your eye on for sure. And I like entertaining these thoughts. Any tweets I read, retweeted does not mean I believe it, but I want to share it to, encourage debates and discussions so I can learn from you guys as well. So this is why I see this as very likely that largest banks would fight this disruption. Now, Ripple is connected to IMF, central banks, Bank of International Settlement, blah, blah, blah. I believe these entities are very aware of all of this. It would make sense to me if they would try to help usher in this change, which is a very real possibility. So we'll see what happens with Davos next week as well. To me, these entities would likely understand the benefits to the economy at large by removing the friction in sending money and to slowly remove the Nostro Vostro system of today. They would likely understand that megabanks would fight this, but initiatives such as open banking and Basel III proves to me that banks like Citi do not rule the world. These are my beliefs in what is going on. Really, really like that. Now, something interesting, guys, PolySign, the huge, custodian, they are ramping things up. Take a look at their website. Take a look at any developments. It's, very secretive, but watch. When they are designed to hold trillions upon trillions of dollars in digital assets, something is up. We need that to be set up, and then I think the big money will flow in. And to me, it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. There would not be billions plus already invested by these massive groups and all of these FUD campaigns. You have to read between the lines and see the parallels between the past as well. All right. And something else, I think it was like Don Barafranca, and I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, but I really like what he said on Twitter as well. XRP was in fact created out of thin air. So why don't you create your coin out of, from thin air too? Just create some instant competition. Well, the fact is, because you need to grow its value, just like Ripple is doing for the XRP ecosystem. They have tons of investments. And the cool thing is now there's even, more and more groups building use cases on the XRP ledger. And you build that organic liquidity, you build that utility and liquidity over time. It is not something that you can just, flip a switch per se. Now, granted, if we switch to things like Swift GPI, obviously, this flip of switch concept, this conspiracy, this idea, it's true. Because if there was so much money flowing through, you would already have the high value, you would already have the liquidity needed. The trick is, how do you do all of this simultaneously, and how do you get a group to agree upon this? There's just a lot of parts that I don't fully understand yet, so keep that in mind. All right, I like this picture with Bitcoin and XRP comparison. Obviously, I love Bitcoin, I love cryptocurrency as a whole, I want everything to thrive, just thought this was funny. All right, next. I'm literally just wanting to share this with Brady Niels, was a former BTC maxi, very smart guy, must follow on Twitter. And I just like this, and I feel like, we are obliged to really consider this as well. And I want the XRP community to mature a lot. So when we moon, hypothetically, if we don't build tools that help lift the rest of the world up, I will consider this cryptocurrency thing a global failure. It is not just about the money, guys. Exit prices are fun to fantasize about, but so is building a legacy on helping others. So, just real talk, even outside of the news, if you want to leave the video now, that's fine. I think that, if you do make this life-changing money, what are you going to do with it that matters? Obviously, paying off debt, taking care of family and friends, taking care of yourself, enjoying life. Yeah, those are priorities. But what are you going to do to have that purpose and give back to society in some way to have that legacy? That is the real question. And don't be fooled, guys. I am here to make money, just like everybody. But eventually, that's not what it's going to be about, and that's the idea. All right. Few things I wanted to address. I know KGSPQR, he was, sharing how many XRP accounts there were on the Ledger, on, Ledger Exposed, the Rich Stats website, and it was like 1.8 million XRP accounts. And he was saying, assuming most people have 2 or 3 accounts, whereas, I have like 10 plus, even if you treat it as 1 account per person, that's still only maybe 0.00024% of the global population. That is, insane, guys. Regardless, not even a 1/100th of a percent. So consider that. And then again, I think Eric Dadoon, I was kind of taking some notes on the side here on this paper, and he just said something like, the Cripple Tribal wars, these wars of, Bitcoin versus XRP, XRP versus Ethereum, XLM, ADA, VETs, just arguing. It's so nonsensical. There's no one left here to convert or convince. If you're still in this space right now during a nearly 2-year bear market, you're a true believer. So props to you for, aiming to, change your life. At least you're taking initiative, because to me, the future is so bright. Now, the only thing left to do now is support the builders and make use of new services and adopt. So that is why I'm really looking to kind of, start uploading more on Cinnamon. There's just a few more, UX designs I want to be implemented. I do like the platform a lot. And yes, I get it. I should be obligated to at least adopt the technology that I'm in support of. All right. For anyone still watching this video, respect. I appreciate it. There are just a few things I want to note, because I get asked about this on a daily basis. So let's see. So, guys, when I put this tweet out the other day, I got attacked for playing both sides of the fence, saying, XRP could, fail. It could go to 4 digits. It could go to 2 digits. It doesn't matter. And then you get attacked if you say, oh, it's going to happen tomorrow night, or it's going to happen, in 2 months, or, 5 years. You get attacked no matter what, because when you express your belief online, you're making yourself vulnerable. And if your belief goes against what someone else believes, they're immature, they're most likely going to attack you. And I try to entertain both sides. Remember, I try to entertain all thoughts without fully accepting them, and just try to be and show a true measure of intelligence. Now, I'm trying to keep an open mind. When I say I don't know what will happen, they say I play both sides. It was really frustrating. Whether XRP hits 0, 2 digits, 3 digits, 4 digits in 1 day or 5 years, you're going to have haters, especially on YouTube, especially for all the people that dislike videos because there's ads. But again, they are consuming and getting free content and free information from me on a daily basis, and I don't get anything in return from them. I might get some ad revenue, but big deal. It's just ridiculous. People want to take, and they never give. So that's just how the world we live in. And do I hope for a huge price, a huge, price rise overnight? Absolutely. Do I think it's very possible? Absolutely. But I think telling people I know it will happen, that's fiscally irresponsible as a content creator on these platforms such as YouTube. I do not want to do that. Even if it happens, that's awesome. Hopefully you guys are holding, some amounts, but I just would not be able to live with myself if people are taking loans out and then, investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in XRP when they can't afford it. Only invest, the best thing I can only speak on my behalf, but the best thing one can do is invest what you can afford to lose. If it moons, then you should have plenty regardless. Don't be greedy. Don't be gullible. Don't be stupid. Just adapt and move with this market. That's all we can do. Nobody has all of the answers. Right? So again, I actually care about you guys. I'm not going to lie. I only share my actual opinions on this matter. I change my mind often because I try to see both sides as much as possible. If you don't like that, too bad, because I'm doing the best I can do, and that's all, we can do at the end of the day. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it, you guys. My mouth is really dry from rambling. I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. Be sure to like this video, share it around. Let me know your honest thoughts down below, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.